Okay, so you should have a notification that we are recording. My name is Savina Thompson, and we're going to cover Edpuzzle today. These are our Zoom norms. So like all of you have done already, go ahead and mute yourself until you'd like to be heard. Please, cameras on if you can. The meeting is recorded and then later posted. And in fact, all of those other meetings will be posted as well in case you would like to view them later. So if you wanted to do more than one, they will be posted on our website, and I'll show you where that's at later. Ask questions in the chat. When you're ready to leave, click leave meeting. Be soft on people, hard on ideas, and then be open to new ideas, opinions, or rationale. Go ahead and all right, so got the norms out of the way. Here are the things that we're going to cover. I'm going to go over why you should use Edpuzzle, how to assign your own, how to create your own. We'll look at the grading part of Edpuzzle. And then at the end, if I have time, I'd like to show you some different ways that you can incorporate Edpuzzle into your lessons. So not just video assignments for homework, but different interactive ways throughout the day. We're actually going to start by having you do an Edpuzzle. And so I'm going to assign you an Edpuzzle like this. Let me give you the link. You know what? Let me do a couple of things first. Let me give you the presentation. So if there's any of the steps that you missed, you can refer to the presentation. So first one is the presentation. I'll give you a minute to look through that. And then the second link here is to join the Edpuzzle class. Ignore that for now. Let me show you what it looks like to do that. Okay, so this is a link to the Edpuzzle class that I've assigned for you guys to try out today. When you get here, you're going to log in with your Google account, with your .org account. So don't worry about don't have an account sign up. You're just going to scroll down and click log in with Google. And so what will happen is you'll see an Edpuzzle video show up for you. This is actually automatically enrolling you as a student into my Edpuzzle classroom. And I can show you how to do this later. But right now we're just going to experience what it's like so that when I refer back to things, you know what it feels like as a student. You're going to click on the video. And what it has, if you hit play, it's a YouTube video. It has little sections or little markings where a question is asked. It's either a multiple choice or a free response question. It could be a multiple select. It's kind of varies with the Edpuzzle that you assign. You want to make sure that you watch the entire thing and you let the slider go all the way until the end. What you should see at the end of the Edpuzzle, once you've finished, it'll say you're done and have a little celebration icon on it. So go ahead, go back here. Again, it is this link. You are signing in with Google. You're going to select join the class. You may have to give it some permissions because it is a Google account. And you're going to click on the video that's there, watch it, and answer questions. Okay, so even if you haven't got a chance to finish, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to pause and we can discuss what that looks like in the teacher end as far as what I see and my ability to see if you're completely finished, if you need more time. This is what the teacher end looks like. And excuse me if I'm posting everybody's names. Not a big deal if you did not finish. And what I do see here is anyone who's finished it, and then I can see the last time they looked at it. And then I can notice that I do have an answer that I do need to grade, but I'll go over that in just a second. So let me see. I don't know if I refreshed. Maybe that would help. Oh yes, that did help. Okay. All right, I'm going to get back to our presentation. So I would like to know, were there any struggles that you felt while you were going through the Edpuzzle of like not knowing where to click? Any ahas that you had, or any questions that you might have? You can either unmute yourself or type it in the chat. So yes, so there is an option in there. So I like that comment, Wendy. You can choose more than, oh, excuse me, you can choose more than one correct answer. And so it isn't always just one response. If you want to have like select the 2 answers that are correct, you can do that as well for students, or you can let them know there's only one. I have quite a bit of tabs going on here. Sorry, trying to find out where I can see everybody. Okay, here we go. All right. Any questions or concerns that you had during that time? Okay. Is there a way that you think that you might be able to use Edpuzzle? So maybe just thinking back, if you're an elementary teacher, which subject do you think would lean well towards an Edpuzzle? Ooh, and Jeffrey, I will answer that question. So what topics or possibly subject areas could you use, or ideas that you might have for using an Edpuzzle? That's my question. If you could type in the chat or say it out loud. Vocabulary, definitely. Yeah, definitely use that for vocabulary building. Science works well with that. I was a former science teacher at the high school level, and I used it a lot with science. And in fact, you'll find a lot of Edpuzzles already built for science. Thank you. And then Jeffrey, you asked, can you import the grades directly into Aries? You can download a CSV file or Excel file, and you can send that into Aries, or you can use this with Google Classroom. Google Classroom will get the grade, and then you upload to Aries that way. Either way works, but there's definitely a way you can get it without having to retype it, which is nice. Okay, so here are some of the reasons that Edpuzzle believes it should be your new best friend. As students are watching at their own pace, you're holding them accountable because you can see, like I can go back and see who watched what, how many questions did they get right, how much time did they spend on the Edpuzzle. So if they're getting everything wrong, but they really didn't go back and think about some of their answers, they spent just as much time as it took to watch the video, then you know a little bit more about how to handle a conversation with them. You can make it so they don't skip ahead. So that's a little bit in that accountability piece. And you do get 100% participation. If you overuse it, you might not get so much participation, but adding those Edpuzzle lessons every once in a while can be fun for students. Here are just different ways that you can use it or when you can use it. So you can use an Edpuzzle in class during a rotation station. So I could set up 3 stations, and one of those stations is a chance to learn new information or do some practice. You could assign it as homework. You could do it as a review. So there's a lot of different ways. I know during last year, I used it a lot during remote learning. And then finally, I think I went over this quickly, but a review of concepts is pretty good to use this. So you've taught them everything and now you're done with the teaching part and you want them to learn some more. You could say, here are these 5 Edpuzzles that you could watch. Pick the one that matches the thing that you feel like you need more work on. All right, so we're gonna go back and forth with getting your classes started and me showing you how to do that. And so here we go, how to get started. The first thing you'll need to do is create a teacher account. Now you will have to log out of the Edpuzzle that I asked you to join already. And so you'll go to, hold off before you do it. You'll go to your picture in the upper right-hand corner and you'll click log out. So again, you'll go to your picture and then log out, but hold off, please. Then you're going to click sign up if you haven't signed up before. And if you click sign up and you have, it's okay, because we're going to link it to Google. You're going to, it's not going to matter if you're not going to sign up a second time. It's just going to link to your Google account. So you'll select sign up, log in as a teacher this time, and then log in using the sign in with Google button. So you'll go, I'm a teacher, scroll down, sign in with Google, select your Google account, and it will have more things for you to do. It'll probably ask that you do some permission settings. So I'm gonna have, and if you have not signed up before, it will ask you to find your school. So you'll need to find your school from the drop-down menu, and mine doesn't anymore because I've already used it. You'll select your subject, and if you do not see your school, you will need to add your new school. Add a new school. You'll also need to verify your email address. So you'll need to go to your inbox and click on the link. Okay, so thank you. So everyone looks like they have had a chance to create an account, get that started. I'm going to go through what it looks like, and then I'll give you some time to work. Let me see. Go ahead and log out of that. Make this big, excuse me. It stops sharing my screen for a moment. Okay, so once you get an account, this is the landing page. This is what you'll see to begin with. Now I think actually you should see Discover, or maybe the last page that you're on. Across the top here, we have Community. That is all of the Edpuzzle community and kind of like what videos are trending throughout the Edpuzzle network. So from all over the country or all over the world. You have the My Network tab right here. The My Network tab are things, the Edpuzzles that teachers are using within our district. And I'll go over this one some more. You have the YouTube page, and these are YouTube channels that Edpuzzle has paired with. So Khan Academy, National Geographic, some TED Talks, some Vertosium, a bunch of ones that you might use in your classroom. Let me go back to the landing page. And we start a community. So at the top right-hand corner, we also see something called Add Content. You can go to the Discover page again, so that's going to take you right here. You can upload your own video. And so you can either find that on your computer or choose that from your Google Drive. So if you have something that you've recorded, maybe a Screencastify that's in your Google Drive, you can upload it here. You can record a video. So Edpuzzle has its own extension for recording a video. It is very similar to Screencastify. So if you've ever used Screencastify, it's kind of got the same kind of basic stuff. Here's the microphone. Do I want the desktop, the camera? What is it that I need? So I haven't added the extension or tried that out just because we do have Screencastify and I use that a lot. Actually, Edpuzzle will pair with Screencastify. You can also do a student project, and I will talk about that much later. Over here on the side, we have the Discover page. So if you don't see it, if it looks just like this, there's these 3 lines where you can open up that menu that I'm talking about over here. The Discover page, you have my content. In my content, what you'll find is I have it by folders. You'll find all of the videos that you've looked at before or actually added. And you'll also find your projects. There are tabs. If you add folders, videos, projects, you can go there a little faster. Sometimes when you add a video, it kind of feels like it's lost because you have like so many videos. So folders are a good idea to kind of sort those. So I taught chemistry and earth science. So I sorted mine into folders and then into more folders. So what was it that I wanted by unit, basically for chemistry? We have my network, and that is, I think you can have unlimited ones from different teachers at your district or at our district, just because of the 7 through 12 license that we have, or if your school has a license. And so you'll see what are other teachers doing in our network. We have all the schools listed. So let's say I taught for Tokay, there are 63 teachers. Oh, now it says 52 teachers that are teaching using Edpuzzle. So let's say I'm interested in what Savita Thompson doing. So here are some of her videos that she uses, or my videos that I use. So if I wanted to collaborate and help another teacher, or you're just interested in what I have used before, there's my list. Now it looks like you don't see the folders that I have created, and you just see the very, very long list of Edpuzzles that I used in the past. So I've used quite a bit. What else can we see on this page in my network? You also see your classes. So this is the Edpuzzle training class that we just did. You will be adding new classes right here. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to actually do now is add my Google Classroom. Since Edpuzzle pairs so well with Google Classroom, that's how I'm going to show you how to add a class. If you're interested in adding classes the other way, just let me know and I can show that to you after our presentation. All right, so and I actually will have you do this adding of your classes in a little bit. So to add a class, and let me go back to the very first part of the page. So here I am on the landing page. Let's say I'm missing this part right here. These 3 lines, just like a waffle, will give you a menu. And to add a class, we're going to click on the plus sign. Since we're using Google Classroom, I'd click on the LMS, which is the tool that I'm using for Google Classroom, or you can create a new class. But again, I was going to use Google Classroom as mine. These are going to pull up all of the Edpuzzle, or excuse me, Google Classroom pages that I have connected to my .org account. So let's say I want to use this class. Then I'm going to select a grade level. These are 9th graders and they are learning earth science. So I don't think I have earth science, so I'll just go with science. And then I'm going to click, and it's hard to see on here. I'm going to click the import classes button. And so now what they have is a video that I've already worked on before, but you'll see all of your students if you look at class members. Oh, I pulled up another teacher's class. That's what happened. Sorry about that. So if I look in class members, I'll see all of my students here. Now, if you end up having a student enroll. This doesn't automatically sync with your Google Classes. So what you will have to do is if you have a new student add, you'll just go into class members and import your new students. So you'll just need to select that button, and if any new students add, they'll populate there. Okay. So any questions so far about adding your Google Classrooms? I'm going to go ahead and give you a moment to do that. And I'm going to give you a break in my talking and just give you a moment to add your Google Classroom pages. And if you've already done that, great. If you could just type your name in there. Okay, I think we have everybody. All right, so from there, from adding our Google Classrooms, I'd like to show you how to find an Edpuzzle. If you already know how to do this, I might show you something new, I'm not sure. But here we go, we'll find an Edpuzzle, add an Edpuzzle, and then I'll give you some more time. We can see how that's going. All right, so I am back here on the Edpuzzle website, and I'm gonna go to the Discover page. So again, if you don't see it, click on this, hit Discover, or you can even go to Add Content, Discover Video Content. Sometimes looking at this helps and sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so the way I like to search is looking a video up right here. So if I'm interested in, let's say, plate tectonics for my student, I just type in plate tectonics and hit search. And then I can filter what I've searched. So if I'm interested in, let's say, what does plate tectonics look like in the 3rd grade? I'd click grade level, 3rd grade, save. And then I'd find a list of videos that are actually for 3rd graders, or possibly through 4th, 3rd grades. For 4th, 3rd graders, I would go in and just double check that that is correct. You can also look in your network. So this would be results from my network. This is what other teachers in the district are doing. And I think that just gave me 3rd grade, and then YouTube videos for plate tectonics. Let's say I'm interested in, the National Geographic version, continental drift. What I can do is select that, watch the video, see if it's a good fit. If I select it and I don't see any questions embedded, so right now you don't see those little markings that say, here's a question, I can scroll down and see if any other teacher has added questions to this video. And so if I scroll down here, I see that this person has added 5 questions. This one's added 4. I'm going to go with this one and just kind of preview what their questions are.
And as they continue,
so you can click through it, see what the questions are, and if you'd like to add this one. If this is one that you would like to use, you're going to edit the video. So after you found one, you'll click edit, and it'll automatically make a copy for you. Okay, so if you click edit, it'll make a copy for you automatically. You can also copy it, and then you have to go in and find it. So let me show you what that looks like. Let me show you the difference here. So instead of edit, I hit the duplicate button. Now it says Edpuzzle copy to your content, and I missed it. I missed the window that said how to find the one that I just added. So here's where it goes. If I go to my content, I can see that I've made 2 copies. The one where I hit edit automatically made a copy and took me to the screen where I start to edit. The second one made a copy, but now I have to go into my content to find it. So let me just go into this one. Here are the things that you can do to edit. So let's click edit. Across the top, we have cut, voiceover, and questions. For the cut, what I can do is change the time of the video. And so let's say I think that this entire video, which I can't see the new time. Go ahead and no. If I look here, it's only about a minute long, but let's say I felt like it needed to be only 30 seconds. I could move the slider to the amount that I think is appropriate. When you do cut something that has a question already, it'll say, do you want to cut and delete the video events that are there? So if you only want the 30 seconds, then yes, you would. Now you can add a cut anywhere in the video. I could put it at the end, the beginning. I could even say, well, I don't want this small section right here. So let's say from here to here, I've already watched the video. I don't need that part. I'm going to go ahead and click on the exact location, or I can type in here, no, I want that at 23 seconds. Go ahead and add the cut right there. And so now I have a cut right at 23, and I can move the slider to say, okay, I don't need that section. So it's going to jump from here to here when the students see it. So that's just to make it shorter. You probably want to keep your Edpuzzles somewhere between 5 to 10 minutes, nothing longer than that. Even past 5 minutes is kind of pushing it. I think Edpuzzle recommends about a 6-minute video is best for students, even at the higher levels. All right, you can do voiceover, or used to be able to do voiceover, but that's changed recently. YouTube is no longer allowing voiceovers. So you can add voiceover if you're adding voiceover to your own video. So let's say you made a mistake in your video and you didn't notice until here, the one that you've uploaded already on your own, then you can just click on voiceover and record something over that section that you want to get rid of. The other part is adding questions, and our options are multiple choice, open-ended, and note. So for multiple choice, there's quite a bit going on here. For multiple choice, you have your editing options at the top. You can change the font in terms of bold, italic, underline. For those of you that teach science or math, you might need to use subscripts or superscripts. You can give students a link to an outside source. You can add an image. And if you want to get actually chemistry, I use this button a lot. And in math, you can make an equation. So if you see this scares you, then just don't push that button. That's the function button. But you'll type your multiple choice question here. And let's say this is the correct answer and this is the wrong answer. What you're going to do is you're going to make sure you check mark the correct answer and then leave the wrong answer with an X. Or if they're both correct, you can select the 2 check marks. So that just means both answers are right, and they need both answers to get 100% on this. If it's like they need 3 out of 5 and they only get 2 out of 5, it will mark it completely wrong. So there's ways around that if you go into the question itself, but for the automatic grading, and this will automatically grade, it will go based on what you have selected. So I like to do just one answer option. Students will see this as well, and I think you guys probably noticed this, I forgot to mention, that you will have to click the continue button.
More and more as the continents.
Okay, then you have the open-ended. So you can write a question here. And you can have students, instead of type their responses, you can have them speak their responses. So it says allow audio responses here. So if you'd like to listen to what they have to say, instead of like you have lower level students that need just to be able to spill it out verbally, just click this button. What I used to like to do with my open-ended questions is give feedback. And the reason why I would give feedback is for the open-ended, I want them to see their results afterwards. And when I turn it back to them, I would want them to know what the correct answer is. And they don't see the feedback until they finish the Edpuzzle. So I type in the correct answer here.
Slowly.
Can also, when I go back to a multiple choice question, you can also give feedback on the multiple choice answers as well. So you could say, good job, or if they got it wrong, a reason to think about why they missed it. So look at . Okay, let's see. What other question types? Oh, we have notes. So for the note, this is if you want to give students, hey, here's a heads up, put this in your notes, or add a specific vocabulary term to your notes that wasn't necessarily in the video. You can either do that by typing it in, or you can do an audio message. And Edpuzzle recommends that you add an audio message to kind of the beginning and the end of a video to kind of encourage students to try their best at the beginning and then thank them for their time at the end. Okay. Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and click finish, and I will show you how to assign that Edpuzzle in a little bit, but we're going to spend a big amount of time right now kind of creating your own Edpuzzle, finding your own Edpuzzle. So again, it's been a while. So you're going to check out the library, clicking discover, search for the topic that you're interested in. You can filter by grade level. And you can actually, if you have a specific YouTube video that you would like to use, you can actually paste a link to that YouTube video right here in that URL, and that'll take you directly to that specific YouTube video. And then once you're done, you can look for other video versions. You can look through the network. I've gone through all of this right here. You're going to edit it, and you can cut. So I want to give you a chance to play with it so that you can ask questions. Okay, so once you've figured out the Edpuzzle that you'd like to use, you're going to go ahead and assign it. So let's see what that looks like. Here are the steps. In the upper right-hand corner, you'll click Assign. Then you'll see a screen where you can choose the classes that you'd like to assign it to. You can assign it to just one class or multiple classes. You'll need to select the start date and due date, and then turn on a few things. We show you on the site itself. So I'm going to click the Assign button, find the classes that I'd like to assign it to. Start date. This will be when it posts to Google Classroom. So if I want it to post at 8 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday, and then I would like it due the next day by 8 o'clock in the morning. I can set that up, hit save. I should prevent skipping always. This is a must. That's automatically turned on, so students aren't fast forwarding to the end or just to where the questions are at. If you'd like to turn it off so that they could redo an assignment, that might be something you can do for them. But most of the time, you probably want this on. You'll want to turn on closed captioning, so students have the ability to turn on the closed captioning or turn it off. And then finally post on Google Classroom. So this will send a link directly to them in Google Classroom, and all they have to do is click on it to watch the video. And then select Assign. And so I'm going to have some errors just because I have some old classes in there. Here's what the students will see. They will see their work either in the stream, if you have it set up that way, or in their classwork tab. And so they'll see the exact video that they're looking for and when it's due. They'll just click on the video, go through the steps to answer the questions. You do definitely want to make sure that students know that they need to watch the video completely. That little slider needs to go all the way to the end, and they need to get that message, you're done. Show me my results, show results, just like this. If they don't see that message, then their score is not going to be automatically imported into Google Classroom. So it's very important that they watch the whole video. And they do get a notice, watch the whole video to turn in the assignment. I have included a suggestion here. So I suggest that you start out with this Edpuzzle. It's just how to use Edpuzzle. So if you're just watching the video, it's Edpuzzle for students, and students would just go through and see what Edpuzzle is all about before they actually do an Edpuzzle while they're doing an Edpuzzle. But it has some tips and tricks for them. Grading an Edpuzzle. This one's a fun one. Okay, so the reason why I loved Google Classroom is because it's synced with Edpuzzle, or I like Edpuzzle because it's synced with Google Classroom. Their scores will automatically be added to the Google Classroom page, and you can go ahead and upload that to Aries if that's something you're using. You'll notice if something needs to be graded when you have open-ended questions. You don't have to grade the multiple choice questions, those are automatically done. But if you have an open-ended question, you would click on the assignment. You can see how many students have answered that. So I have one new answer here. If there isn't any open-ended questions, it'll just tell you they're done. We'll click on the assignment, click the answer to grade. And then we can do one of three things. Actually, there's a fourth thing in there. We can hit the X, which will mark it wrong and give them 0 out of 100. We can mark the check mark on the right here, and that will give them 100 out of 100, a perfect score. Or if you feel like their answer just wasn't quite there, maybe 50%, you can click on where that little dash is at and type in 50. So that way you're giving them a percentage. If they get it completely wrong but you would like to add a comment to kind of help them out, give them some feedback, click on the comment button and then type in your response here. You can just copy and paste that into multiple students' comments. You do have to do that individually though. One of my favorite buttons with Edpuzzle, and I think it's the only platform that has it, is the mark ungraded as correct. The reason why I loved this for grading free response questions is I could quickly go through 100 responses and see which ones are incorrect and which ones are correct. But clicking the button that many times takes forever. So what I do is I just click the ones that are wrong. Hopefully that's a few of them. And then I click this mark ungraded as correct, and it just goes through the list, and anything that I didn't mark wrong will be marked right. So love that feature of Edpuzzle, and I wish other platforms would get on board with that one. You can review the class data. You can click on the question to see exactly how your students did and like which students got this answer right. You can just scroll down on the questions to see how many. So this is like where I would review with students, where you don't see which individual students got what right and what wrong. You just look through and see, okay, 1 of 2 students got this right. Maybe this is something that we should review. Or 0 out of 2, then we definitely have to reteach there. But if you'd like to see, okay, who got it right, then you can just review the class data. So click on the individual question itself, and you can pull up class data. So it would look like this. This isn't done, but right now it says 0 out of 32 got it right. But I could see if I click on the question, which students got it wrong, which students got it right. And of course, I don't have any data in here right now, but that's what it would look like. You can look at individual student data. So if you click on a student, what you'll see is all of their responses in terms of whether they got it wrong or right. So green for right, red for wrong. You can see how long they spent on the video. So this person spent 5 minutes and when they turned it in. And then for the grade book, so when I come to Edpuzzle and click on a class, and I can go to gradebook, and I can see what the student got, which videos the student did well in, which videos the student did not do well in. The student did not do anything in here, so ignore that, but you would see all of the videos there. You will want to make sure that you set these up correctly. So the start date and the end date. If you didn't do a video within this range, then you won't see anything. So I don't see anything because I didn't assign anything within that range. And now I see those videos again. All right, there are many ways to use Edpuzzle. I've just gone over a few or just the basics, but you could use Edpuzzle to flip your class where students do Edpuzzles for homework, and then class time instead is used for either going over the Edpuzzles to see how we did, or kind of answering student questions, collaborative time. There's other things that you can do with class time other than lectures, right? So
it can be hard to find enough time in.
Oops. There is the station rotation, or also called the in-class flip, where students have several stations to go through, and one of those just happens to be an Edpuzzle. Going live is pretty fun. Here, instead of students doing this individually, we watch the video on the board together as a class, and then students still have their devices, but they're only using their device to answer the questions. So if you don't want a bunch of Chromebooks sitting in your classroom going off at this different times and no one has headphones, and you just want to post it at the front and have each student answer, this is a great way to do that. There's also Edpuzzle projects where students take a video and embed questions just like you would. So you could try to find ways for them to interact with the content other than you figuring it out for them.
Hello and welcome to another Edpuzzle.
Sorry, I have those all mixed up. All right, so finally, some other ideas, a virtual field trip, maybe even a lab demonstration. So you can embed the questions in there. You can add in study guides. You could do oral responses to things. So if you're teaching a foreign language, you could have the students respond to something that a teacher says or a person in the video says, and then you listen to their responses and then give them a grade. Rules and procedures, so you can have them first day go over what those rules are, and let's say 2 months from now we need a review of what those rules are. Here's an Edpuzzle. Same thing for safety in the science classroom. And then finally, if you have a student who's absent and you want to give them the same information, but you don't want to just give them the paper of notes, you want them to actually interact with that information to know that they're actually understanding what they're seeing. And this would be a good alternative for students who are not there. But wait, there is more. The final part in this is I have an option for you in here to go to the online professional development for Edpuzzle. They have so much information and they'll take this a lot slower than I did in little 5-minute videos, and you can earn a badge. I would recommend doing the Edpuzzle for Google Classroom right here, level 1 and then level 2. But what they'll do is if you click on it, it'll give you a code. You'll join as a student using that code. Our website has more information as well. So that's our instructional technology page, and I'll add that to the chat. You can go through and see what we have curated for Edpuzzle with some ideas. And then finally, here is our instructional technology coaching menu. So don't forget to use us for not just emails, but to co-plan, to collect data for you, to co-teach, and maybe possibly even do a model lesson.